In this quick look, we're going to have a very basic thing when it comes to After Effects, and that is how to actually render your composition. So this is something that I've noticed a lot of first-time users of After Effects have quite a bit of problems finding. It's actually how to render their content. So that's what we're going to look at today. So how do we render content from After Effects into a video file? So you can see I have a composition right here, and it's very simple. I've got some meshes here and some substance materials applied. And what I want to do is actually just render this, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to go up to composition. And there's kind of two ways to render stuff out of After Effects. One is that you add it to the Adobe Media Encoder queue. So this is similar to how you would export content in software like Adobe Animate. If you publish to video, it opens up Adobe Media Encoder, and then you can, tweak the settings if you want to, but it'll go through and it'll produce a video file from that. The more direct way to do it, and the way that I prefer, is to add it to the render queue. So if I click Add to Render Queue, we can see that we have our comp name represented here in our render queue. It's kind of weird. It opens up alongside of your timeline here and all your layers, but that's where it is. And there are a number of different settings here. So we have our render settings, and we can choose from a number of different things here. Really, best settings is just fine, but you can, of course, customize this if you open up custom, and you can go through and figure out things like the resolution, the different things to actually go through and include in part of your render, like different effects and so forth, whether motion blur is on or off. There's a lot of different options here. But I just keep it at best settings for almost everything. In terms of output module, this is something that's really important, and that was added. There were some options here added maybe 2 years ago or so. And those options are actually generating an MP4 file through the native built-in render queue here. So yeah, you used to be able to render as like high quality, lossless, and so forth. And it would come across as a big, massive MOV file that, was kind of particular. It couldn't quite play everywhere. Now we have these options for H.264. And if you're not familiar with H.264, that is the codec that is used when it comes to MP4 files. So MP4 is the file format or the container format, and H.264 is the codec that compresses and decompresses the data within. And you can do a custom one here too. So if I choose custom, right, then we can choose from the format options here, H.264, and this is going to allow us to create an MP4 file from there. But yeah, there are a bunch of different options here as well. Now, of course, you can go through, and if you send this over to Adobe Media Encoder, right, add to Adobe Media Encoder queue, that will actually go through, and you can specify all these different options there as well, or at least most of them. So it'll produce a log if it needs to. Do you want an error log if it errors out, or settings and so forth? I usually keep that on errors only. I don't think I've ever read a log from my composition output. And so the last one here, of course, is where you want to output it to. So if we look here, we can output it to the comp name or the comp folder and name. You've got a lot of different options here too. And of course, you can customize this as well. So here, I'm going to go ahead and say comp folder and name. And then we can say, downloads, that's quite fine. And there we go. It's going to put it in my downloads in a folder called parametric. That's the name of my comp. And parametric.mp4, which is the composition name as well. But this will be the MP4 file it produces. So notice here too, once you set all this up, you can also change your mind and choose to queue it up in Adobe Media Encoder, but I'm just going to hit the render option here. Now, this button is not going to show up until you've dialed in all of this, especially the output to setting. So really the two most important things here are your output module, making sure it's H.264, and your output 2 matching to an MP4 file on your local computer. Once those are done, you can click render here, and you can see it renders very quickly. This isn't a very complicated composition, even though it is using 3D assets. And there we have it. It's now output to my downloads folder at the specific location with the specific file name that I chose. And that's basically how you export and render to video from Adobe After Effects.